Tell me about your how you came up with the idea.
As I was checking into the pollution and the rubbish that was in the water, I met a guy that discovered this garbage patch that exists between California and Hawaii that is 3 times the size of Texas and goes down about 10 miles deep. And what it is it's the current that pulls all the trash from the outside to the inside, sort of like your sink, if you will. And as I started checking into this trash, this plastic debris, the majority of it is plastic, and I started checking into the scientific ramifications of what degraded plastic means into our environment and into the ocean and into the food chain. Plastic, when it degrades into a pellet, and when that pellet degrades, it degrades into synthetic hormones, synthetic female hormones. So there's massive doses of synthetic female hormones floating around in the ocean out there that are being ingested by fish, ingested by human beings, and it's into us. This plastic dust is found regularly in human blood. And what it does is it disrupts the sexual reproduction organs, of humans. It disrupts the size of the male organ, and it disrupts the menstrual cycle of the female. And the two are arguably the greatest threat to the reproduction of humans that exist. Not to mention just the toxic nature of plastic alone. Every single ingredient in plastic, I found out, is deadly to humans. Every single ingredient in the recipe. Not only that, when it breaks down to these massive doses of female hormones. So I consider that to be a threat to humanity. I saw that we could go into the waterways and we could harvest the plastic. I've joined with companies that will recycle the plastic into durable goods, which they were meant to be used for anyway, not one-time use, throw it away and it ends up in the water. And responsible use of plastic and consumer preference. It's this addiction I found to convenience that is really killing us. You know, you take a shirt out of plastic one time and it was only used one time, and somehow it finds its way into the ocean. And when it finds its way into the ocean, it finds its way into the food chain, and this is deadly. So that's when I decided that people needed to know about it. And it had to be something water related, so I decided to do this paddleboard thing that I was doing for training anyway, and do it long distance, because that way I'd be strong to catch waves. I saw Laird Hamilton in a magazine doing stand-up paddleboarding when it was very, very early on. I said, "Who is this guy?" And my friends laughed at me. They said, "Who is this guy? He's the best waterman in the world. You don't know who he is?" I'm like, "No, I'm not really a surfer. I'm an athlete." I said, "But I'd like to meet him." So I arranged a meeting with Laird, and he sat down with me, and he was very gracious. And we set forth on a training schedule to train me to do this, and he honored it. I started in August in 2007 in Crescent City, California, with a guy named Ren Knoll, a guy named Zoltan Torkos from Santa Cruz, California, and a guy named Danny Miskin from my hometown here in Huntington Beach that helped me out with surfing. None of us knew what we were doing. Ren knew what he was doing on the ocean, but paddleboarding was so new that none of us really knew what we were doing. I had just started stand-up paddleboarding,